Hi guys, so we'll just continue from where we stopped on the live because I don't know what went wrong. My sound just went off. So we're still continuing on this month's topic, which is overcoming fear. So to begin with, what scares you? What are you afraid of? What makes you dry up with fear when you think about it? Fortunately, most of our fears are learned. Can you imagine that? We all learn our fears. Nobody is born with fear, they are all acquired. So, if you can learn your fear, that means you can unlearn it. All our fears are acquired. Isn't that great news? It's acquired. It's like something you learn over time. Clearly, something is amiss. So, if we can learn fears, we can just as easily unlearn them, which is a great thing. I think that's very comforting to know that none of us were born with fears, because definitely we can unlearn them. And how do we unlearn them? That other topic we talked about the other day, self-discipline to continuously disregard that fear until it vanishes. You can say no to it and it goes away. It's a learned thing. You learn to refuse it just as much as it's given an allowance to be there. You understand, right? So most of the common fears that we experience often sabotage our hope for success. And they are normally the fear of failure. Fear of failure is a big one, which I think should just be given its own audience. Fear of failure. That one just freaks almost everyone out, because who wants to fail? I certainly don't. So there's the fear of failure, the fear of poverty. No one wants to be poor. And loss of money. Losing your money is another thing that sends us into some major panic. So these fears cause us to avoid any kind of risk which is in relation to them, which we feel could lead us there, down that road. Yeah, even if an opportunity comes that you can see there's a potential, it might work, it might not, the 50-50 in it, just the fact that it just might lead to failure, we become so afraid of that failure that it can paralyze us. A lot of times we're paralyzed by the fear, and as a consequence we end up taking no chances at all, because every chance you take has some element of fear, of risk. Every chance you take, every new venture, it's, even if you feel like it's 70 or 80%, what about that 10? That's still we have fears that interfere with our happiness. Okay. Let's say you fear the loss of love. Yeah? Think you lose love from someone who you love, or from a family member, or from a spouse, whatever. We fear losing our financial security, like you can fear losing your job. You can fear being ridiculed, public embarrassment, even private. Even if you're just two people and you know this person is going to shame you, you're not going to look forward to an encounter with them. Fear of rejection or criticism. or fear of losing respect in front of your peers, or people you seek to impress. All these type of fears in one way or another hold us back at one point in our lives, as long as we are allowing them to be present. So it's important to know that fear paralyzes action. Remember, we've been on the topic of this year is a year of taking action. When you're afraid, you can't take action, because fear makes you feel unable. That's why I'm saying it makes you paralyzed, because you'll hear the phrase I can't. Can't is I cannot, I'm not able. It's not I won't. Won't is you have the authority, you have the power, you're just refusing. I refuse to do that. It's very different from I'm unable to. I can't is I would like to, but I can't, I'm not able. Yeah, that's very different from something you're sure you are refusing to do. And that is how the fear of failure stops us taking action. Usually you start with it making you feel kind of sick. You have that sick feeling in the pit of your stomach, that fear, and then you start feeling like, and then you start feeling like it's boiling. A little bit after that, you're starting to feel almost like you want to you have a running stomach. It's almost like you're getting loose stool. Sometimes you break out into a sweat. Your hands, your palms become sweaty, or you stammer, your tongue gets stiff. Those are all manifestations of serious terror, real fear. Your mouth and throat go dry, your heart is pounding, and you even feel like you're going to pass out. You feel as if you're out of breath. These are physical manifestations of what's going on inside your mind, inside your heart, and really it's not good, because what happens is that when fear reaches that level, it shuts down your brain. Your brain goes off. It's a protective mechanism. Your brain just goes off. It tells you, no, that road, I'm not going down. You see, your body is made in a way that it protects itself. It shields itself from some things. Yeah. So if it feels as if now this thing has reached another level, your brain goes off. Your brain goes off, and you feel like you're paralyzed. It causes you to get into flight mode, so to speak. You want to flee the situation. You want to flee this thing that's causing you a lot of dread, or you feel as this thing that's feeling like it's coming against you. It's a negative force, so you want to get away from there. It's really not a nice emotion, and it undermines our happiness and holds us back as we go through life, because it makes you imagine the worst possible scenario. And the worst thing is that many times those things don't happen. A lot of times, the things that you really dread and fear, if you don't create them with your fear, it becomes unnecessary. It becomes an uncalled for kind of thing that just freaked you out with no good cause. Yeah. So one of the things you can do is start visualizing yourself doing that thing you dread without fear. Try and tell yourself that nothing is going to happen. That thing you fear will happen. Let's say you fear driving, you think you're going to crash. Imagine yourself driving straight, beautifully. Maybe there's no other car on the road, or if there are cars, everyone is on their own lane, you're a steady driver. Imagine that accidents don't happen because you're not driving recklessly. You're not trying to call on one, right? Accidents are accidents. That's why they're called accidents. It's just a mishap. It's a bad happening that is rare. Don't let that become your reality, So visualize yourself performing with confidence and competence that thing of which you're fearful. And that's why it's unlearned, because by practicing and by imagining yourself doing it, your mind in your vision, your visual image begins to affect your subconscious, and it tells it that I can do this thing. So the I can't is slowly switching. The I can't is getting some doubts. Yeah. Now it's no longer definite when you hear drive. I can't. You start thinking to yourself, maybe I can. And that's all you need. That maybe is the chance you need to. Now your self-image and how you see yourself, how you think about yourself, is eventually altered by feeding these I can and maybe it's not that bad images into your head. So it's like something you do. It's like meditating, and you do it consciously. You imagine yourself performing this thing really well, being so good at it, outstanding results, and you start meditating on that thing. Every time the fear of it comes, tell yourself, no, I can actually do it. Or better yet, don't wait for the time when the fear comes. Meditate on that thing consciously. Bring it to your mind and act as if, you practice it. Practice it consciously. Yeah. You practice it consciously over and over and over. Don't give it time to fester and become a phobia. That way, the next time when it comes to your mind is not so definite to shut down and say, no, I cannot be able to do this thing. So you're practicing, you're training yourself to say, maybe this thing actually can work. Yeah. So you move with confidence. Teach yourself to move with a lot of confidence, even as you're thinking of doing that thing. Act as if you already have that confidence and that courage that you desire to perform that thing. There's something known as the law of reversibility. If you feel a certain way about something or towards a thing, you tend to act in a certain way that is consistent with that feeling. Okay, if you're scared of dogs, when you sight one like this, you freak, you panic, you start withdrawing, you maybe run, fear is just all over you. So even the dog, even if it didn't want to, it will attack you because you're acting guilty. You're acting like you're a criminal. So if it's trained to attack, it will first bark and bare its teeth and terrify you, and then you, true to form, you fall into place and respond accordingly, and that's how you're over. You see. So with the law of reversibility, we're doing the reverse. We act in a manner consistent with not being afraid, with the change you want to see. You act in a manner that is showing confidence, that is showing no fear, less fear. You start with reducing and then eventually it goes away. And then the law of reversibility will create a feeling that is consistent with your action. And then with time, there's no more fear when you think of this particular thing. And that's one of the greatest breakthroughs in success psychology from what I've read, that you develop the courage you desire by disciplining yourself to repeatedly do the thing you fear until that fear disappears. And disappear will. That one is so good, I have to repeat it. You develop the courage. You develop the courage you desire. The courage you desire. You develop the courage you desire by disciplining yourself repeatedly to do the thing. Stand every time you see a dog. Pass where you know that dog that terrifies you is, especially if it's tied in a compound, in a place where you have to pass. Pass there deliberately. Train yourself. I'm not going to run. I'm not going to react. I'm not going to freeze when I reach there. Pass by calmly. Pass by calmly. It doesn't matter whether you're feeling like you're going to shit yourself. Pass by calmly. Pass back. That's one day. If you want to take a break the next day, after a day or two, repeat the process. With time, it will hit your psychology that, this is no longer a threat, and then with time, it just disappears. The fear of that thing will disappear. Another thing you can do is to confront your fears immediately. This one is a bit trickier than that other one. But your ability to confront and deal with something in spite of your fears is the key to happiness. The ability to confront head on and deal with and act in spite of your fears is the key to happiness and success. So one of the best exercises that you can practice is to identify a situation in your life or a person. It can even be a person. Identify a person or a situation of which you are afraid. Then resolve to deal with that fear immediately. Don't put it off. Don't give it time. Don't give it any more time to grow and fester, and deal with it immediately. Don't allow that thing to depress you endlessly for months and months and months. Don't. If let's say you know you need to confront a person over something, do it now. Stop this video and go. If they are near, stop watching and go. Go and confront that person. Yes. Deal with it right there, right now. Because the more you prolong it and it keeps festering in your system, you're just giving yourself more time to be very miserable. You're prolonging misery. So resolve to confront the situation or that person and put that fear behind you. Now, this is the year of taking action. You're taking action this year. Do it now. Confront your fears immediately. When you have something you fear, the most normal reaction is to run away. We take the example of the dog. Most of the time, you will not run towards a dog that looks like it's a shepherd that's eating everyone in sight. No, you will not. But in a most logical, reasonable scenario, moving towards your fear as opposed to running away from them is what causes you to overcome them. When you identify something you're really afraid of and you move towards it as opposed to running away, that thing begins to shrink. You may not believe it until you actually do it. But if you move towards the thing that you're afraid of, it becomes smaller. Because in your mind you've built it up to be this massive, monumental horror of a thing. But just face it and you'll be surprised. Go towards it, don't even wait for it to come. Move towards it. It becomes smaller. As your confidence grows, your fear shrinks. That's the beauty of it, and that's why this thing is something that is being practiced over time. Your fear becomes smaller as your confidence grows larger. And very soon, it dominates you. If you don't do that, your fear will dominate you. It will dominate you and become such a monster that it will keep you up day and night. And it's something that you can conquer with as much as just making that decision, even if it's a person. Face that person, and as soon as you do, the thing, of course, a person is not going to eat you. What are they going to do to you? Seriously, what will they do to you? As soon as you face that person, whoever it is who you think is so little, and remember, we're not saying go with your boxing gloves on and this is not combat. You're approaching this person and you're saying this and this and this, and this is not why I do not like this. That is it. Approach that person. If it's somebody who you've never approached or knows that you have that fear of them, first of all, they will be so surprised, and their respect for you will grow up, and they will be able to see, okay, this person looks like they might resist for a bit. That's not really your worry. As long as you face it and you let them know, I'm not going to take this and this anymore, this is enough, and you've laid down your limits. It's the most freeing thing you can ever imagine. So the best way to deal with a fear is to face it head on. It's common for most people to deny that they have a problem, and that you're afraid to confront it. It feels, when you think about it, especially if you're trying to tell someone, you feel a little bit silly or a bit ashamed and that kind of thing, but it can cause you so much stress and unhappiness. It's unbelievable, and it's so not worth it. It's so not worth it. It can actually cause illness. It can make you sick. It can actually make you sick. So just be willing to deal with that person, and it's a decision, guys. It's a decision, and it's not something that someone can do for you. So when you force yourself to face any fear-inducing situation in your life, your self-esteem goes up, your self-respect increases, and soon no one can tell you anything about that thing. In a few practices down the line, you'll just be saying past tense, I was. Your sense of pride as a person, your personal sense of pride, your sense of personal pride as a person grows. We're not saying you get puffed up or anything. No, we're talking about fear. Of course, you don't have that fear because you're puffed up. We're talking about how to come up to the level of where you're just having your normal life without anybody making your life difficult. We all have enough stress to deal with that is thrown at us by life. When you're living life normally, the normal, just average kind of life has its own issues. It has enough drama. You do not need to have anybody causing you fear or any situation that you can just face and deal with it and get it out of your way, so that you deal with these other issues that are common to man. Common to man. If there are floods somewhere, that's a serious issue, and you have to face that one head on. That one is not something that you will say you're fearing, I don't know who. No, those are the type of issues now that you can say you have an issue, you need to deal with this situation, but not this fear of person. Yeah. So do it, even if it's in small steps. Allow your self-esteem to go up. You deserve it. You really deserve it. Let your self-esteem go up, and as you continue, watch these things that have been causing you so much fear vanish in your life, and they will. And as you keep tackling them, you will reach a place in your life where the things that you can actually say terrify you are so minimal, it's unbelievable. You just go eliminating them. So yes, you might still have one or two fears, but you can come from being a person who fears almost everything, every situation has something that's causing you grief, to having very few fears, to having very little limited things that cause you fear. And that's just allowing yourself to live a life of peace. That's what I wanted to share with you guys today. So let's find every way possible to not live in fear, and give ourselves the chance to have peace. What do you think? Is that something you think is worth giving a shot? Personally, I think it is. I really think it is. I really think it's worth giving a shot. So guys, thank you for watching. That's what I wanted to share on overcoming ways, and just highlighting a few ways that you can overcome or conquer your fear. Let me know which one you're going to try. Let me know if it's a person that you fear. Is it a situation? Do you think that this is something you can do? Do you feel like it is something that you can do, that it's something that can help you in your life? Because we're trying to take action this year. We're trying to take action. So we're looking at, this is one hindrance to taking action. This is something that can hinder you very easily from taking action. I know that one thing that has helped me a lot is the stage of life I'm at. There are many things now that I can try, that I would dare to try, shall I put it that way, that before would probably have freaked me out. And the main reason is because right now I no longer care as much what people think, what people will say about me. That has become a minimal issue, probably to some level, to some minuscule degree. We probably all have a thing and maybe feel some kind of way if you hear something negative, but how it affects me now is so little compared to a while back that I can honestly say I am very grateful for maturity, for the level of where I've reached. Yeah. Now, oh my. Now. Yeah. So guys, that's what I wanted to share. I hope this encourages someone. I hope it allows someone to be able to fight their fears as you take action. The things that want to threaten to hinder you, face them directly and take that action. Let's grow. Let's grow in steps. Let's grow from glory to glory, as I said, until a time when we're able to live our lives freely. Thanks for watching, guys. So much for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Give the video a like, thumbs up if you liked it. Thank you for people. Give me a comment, put some stuff with me. Let me know what you're facing, let me know what you're feeling, and let's interact. See you guys. Bye.